I confessed
To what?
to a crime that never happened.
You confessed.
To the charge, rather, to the charge.
What did you confess
I
to?
confessed to assault, robbery by assault. And
But you didn't do it.
no, it never happened. It never happened. It was all concocted. It never happened. It never happened. Gave me a life sentence. Gave me a life sentence. And I immediately give it back to him.
America, Now let me ask you this. How you gonna keep a man in jail for over 40 years for a crime he did not commit? Now they say our generation don't care about stuff like that, but I'm here to tell you that we do. Cause even now, we all still struggling to be free. We won't retreat, we won't surrender. Power to the people has been the agenda. Keep up the struggle continually. Persist and resist until we are free. We won't retreat, we won't surrender. Power to the people has been the agenda. Keep up the struggle continually. Persist and resist until we are free. There's just some things I just don't understand. Like the tone of my skin makes me 3/5 a man. What makes us so strong you'll find in the blood. Flows through generations of predecessors. Prison my body but my freedom soul. Pass through these jail bar source to where I call home. Forefather stole me, America bought me. Now she acting as if she don't even want me. We won't retreat, we won't surrender. Power to the people has been the agenda. Keep up the struggle continually.
I went to visit with him and he told me a story, and it was still a very compelling story. When I met him, it just validated all my thoughts.
When I met Robert, I'd never been nowhere. I was a little greenhorn, you know.
But this time I was out in the area and I just proactively picked up Mr. Coney's address.
We got a little more into the story once we met Mr. and Mrs. Coney.
The first thing I noticed about him was how great his attitude was about the whole thing.
Right.
He would escape from one penitentiary, go to another one, and they embraced him like, you know, he walked on water almost.
We were walking, all of a sudden he pulled up and picked us up, and we, it was just, Daddy. It was just, hey, Daddy's home.
This was an extraordinary story about, an average person who had suddenly found himself spending most of his life in jail.
I was born in a small town in Sabine Parish. Sabine Parish on a summer day is a serene place. Everybody know everybody. We were engaged in the lumber industry as employees. But out of that, we persevered. We had close church ties. Everyone dressed up on Sundays and went to church and did the best that they could the rest of the week on their jobs. Naturally, like any other small towns, there was some pleasure in weekend drinking. Never any confrontations with the police authorities, which we all knew. Everyone knew all the police because we was all raised up together, white and black. My father passed away when I was 7 years old, but my mother was a very strong lady, and she was at the service of everybody in the community, white or black. She was a midwife. And out of her experiences as a midwife, I suppose she became a doctor's assistant. And in many cases, she worked by herself night and day, any time of night, all inclement weather, and so forth and so on. She was on call with no fee. And I saw the strength in her, which she passed on to me, which in later years I utilized to obtain my freedom. felt as if it was injustice being done because only certain people was assigned to these duties and locked into the ammunition magazine. And I would not have had that feeling if the people who were assigned there were a mixed race of people. We had Filipinos, Guamanians, blacks, and whites all aboard the ships, but in the hazardous conditions, when your ship was under fire, and under war conditions, only blacks was placed below the waterline. Being in the Navy was no different from being in civilian life, because being in the Navy, I was subjected to being just a servant. I wanted to be successful in the Navy, as a ship pilot. That's always been my dream, a ship pilot. I wanted to re-enlist into the Navy, but they wouldn't allow me to re-enlist. I was considered as an agitator. At that time, enlisted man, especially blacks in the Navy, just didn't make waves. Then I joined the Army on an alias name, Roland Smith.
It ain't easy. Hey, it ain't easy. Oh. Hey, yeah. It ain't easy, y'all, yeah. Sun up till sundown, we'll be grinding, ain't got no time to waste. Come take a look inside of my life. Come and take a look. Sun up till sundown, we'll be grinding, ain't got no time to waste. Come take a look inside of.
Well, it was called the Apex Club. Big old barn. Everybody just danced and had fun. You know, they had a live band. It wasn't, you know, it was clean fun. That's where I met Robert at. I think the happiest times we had was like in Galveston or Corpus, you know, because we all liked to fish, you know, and we'd go to the beach and we'd fish. As a family, you know, we really did everything together, the three of us.
I look at all the changes my mother went through raising me by herself. And I know it hurt her. And I know it killed my dad knowing he wasn't there.
March the 6th, 1962, I was in the courtroom in Lufkin, Texas. They said that I had robbed a supermarket, I was told this by people who in law enforcement who was dissatisfied with what happened to me, that the manager had a drug habit, and he concocted the story when he saw me come in, or with some other blacks or whoever, that he had been robbed, and they just assumed that it was me since I was out of state. And then they got a local snitcher. He gave a statement that I was in the store. He never said that I participated in the robbery, initiated the robbery. Only thing that he said that I was in the store at the time or the date that the robbery occurred. I don't know if it was ever robbed or not, but I was told that the manager of the store had swung with the money, and this was his cover-up, that he had been robbed. I happened to be in an unfortunate situation to be in the store on that particular date. Warrant was served. I was extradited back to back to Jefferson, back to Angelina County. I went through the scenario of confessions and forced confessions, beating and slapping, brutalities and all that. So there's a limitation to physical endurance. Like this door here, like this door. That was the sheriff's favorite trick. Sheriff's favorite trick was to put your hand in the door. Deputies would hold your hand and he would slam the door. Slam the door. Slam the door by me being outside is my left hand. But slam the door. It was not a slide door, it was the door was open with the key. It was open in and out. And slam the door on your hand, which they did. And as I said, there's a limitation to physical endurance. So you can research that, and John McCain, United States Senator, can tell you that. Yeah, I reached the limit. Sure, I reached the limit. You know, if punishment is imposed upon you to the point where that you can make a horse stand up and deal a deck of cards, you know what it will do to a human being. Well, I'm just saying. You put enough pressure, enough pain on a monkey, and he will deal a deck of cards, you know, deal the blackjack, you know what I mean, or whatever he's telling him to do. But nevertheless, this is what happened. But I never accepted it. I never did accept it. I never will accept it till this day. What happened then, but that's a different place now. I want to make that clear. But nevertheless, it was all a setup. They brought me downstairs and gave me a life sentence with no lawyer. I picked a guy out there sitting in the courtroom and said, "Hey, you come here. You're a lawyer?" But, "Oh, hey, that's John. Come on up here and stand with this nigga, you know. Make it, we're gonna make it legal, you know. That's and the lawyer will admit that. The lawyer's name is Spring, lawyer Mr. Spring. He will admit that he knew nothing about the case and stood there with me less than 2 minutes, and you know, give me a life sentence. I said, "Judge, can I say something?" The judge said, "Yes." I started to talk, and the clerk told me to shut up. I said, "Well, who's running?" In this damn courtroom, you know? There's no courtroom in the country now, no judicial system in the country now would accept that as being a bona fide trial that would meet the standards of a trial today. No. Gave me a life sentence. And I immediately give it back to him. I crawled out of the river after one of my escapes. I had 8 non-violent escapes. I want to make that clear. All non-violent. 8 successful escapes. I crawled out of the river after swimming the Mississippi River 3 times in one night. The only man ever alive ever did that. They all gave me up for dead, but I crawled out of the river. I went up to a house after walking through the woods several miles. So tired I fell asleep inside of a barn. When I woke up, a fellow was standing in front of me. I said, "Sir, I don't mean you no harm," so forth and so on. "If you just don't bother me, I'm not going to bother you." He says, "I've been watching you ever since you walked up to this house here." He says, "Come on up to the house." His wife gave me some potatoes, fried potatoes, it was that morning, 2 fried eggs, and a couple of biscuits and some syrup. Sheriff's car passed by, and I said, "Well, this is it," to myself. He walked out and talked to the deputy, then came back. He said, "They're looking for you." I said, "God, yes, I know that." He said, "Well, you go down here," pointed the way, few miles, you will come to a farm road. There's a bus pass there 2 or 3 times a day. It's the opportunity to get out of this district. But see, that man didn't know anything about me, you know. He didn't know anything about what I was about, or what I stood for, or what I was worth, you know. It was the goodness of the people. So I went back, looked for years later. I went back, took a chance on going back, you know, to find a house. I found a house, but no one was there for me to thank, you know. That hurt me. That hurt me. The average person would have went a whole lifetime, forgot about it. But I thank that person in my heart every time I say my prayers. I don't know who he was, who his name was, or who his family was. They drugged me back by losing the woman and the son that I loved dearly with my whole heart and soul. That's the honest reason I was escaping so often. I just couldn't bear to be away from them for that period of time. Anytime a man would take chances on his life from 2 of the worst prisons in the country, it's got to be something more than more than just the infatuation, you know. It has to be. It has to be. First thing that happened, we got beat damn near to death for escaping. That's the worst thing happened. The continuous time out of that 44 years was 20 years. Then the rest of it was in parts. Day for day, 20 years. Freedom in between lasting no more than 6 months at the most.
Waiting on our vote to count, waiting on equality, waiting in power, still waiting for someone to save us, waiting to meet our maker, waiting on today to be done, waiting for tomorrow to come, waiting, cause big brothers listening, careful what you say cause they can hear when you whispering. It's like the law can't be trusted, the hell freezes over where we waiting on justice. If we want to save the future, we got to protect the youth, cause if we don't set an example, they make the same choices, we mishandle them. Waiting on reparations and segregation, but my own nation keeps hesitating. No retribution or restitution, just excuses with no movement. With all this talk of terrorists, there's no wonder I need a therapist. So you ask, what's the conclusion? So wait for freedom, I wait for revolution. On that check to bounce, waiting on our vote to count, waiting on equality, waiting in power, still waiting for someone to save us, waiting to meet our maker.
I received Robert's letter in the mail. What he was asking was to go to the courts and have the courts grant relief under by proving, basically, that the sheriff's department in Angelina County had tortured him, had broken his fingers in a jail cell door to extract a confession to a crime he did not commit. And he wanted me to be able to prove that that happened 40 years ago to him. That's no small task.
Through my son, who worked for a veterinarian and overheard his sheriff talk about what they used to do to prisoners, that all seemed to kind of make sense. It was really kind of intriguing to just start digging into it. And the best thing that I figured out was that you were apparently out of
not in the system
for a while, and then got picked back up.
Get my rhyme on, do some shows, homes, and get my grind on. My album on the charts, get my climb on. Come back to the block and get my shine on. But my conscience in the way, can't keep it at bay. Saying whatever you do, don't leave these kids astray. We all need help, so don't be scared to pray. Life's a stage, but don't get caught up in the play. Just trying to keep my head up, it's so waiting for the rain to let up, it's so.
Yeah, I thought it mattered. I thought it mattered a lot. I mean, in this case, he had gotten in the military because of World War II, and he had served, and then he had served in Korea, and somehow, had fallen through the cracks of the justice system, He never let his circumstances imprison him. He never, you know, gave up fighting for his freedom. It was prison body, you know, freedom soul, and he had that.
I went to see Robert again, and it was kind of interesting because when I arrived there, the correctional officer that met me was talking about Pops Coney. He said, "Are you here to see Pops Coney?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, geez, I sure hope you can help him because he doesn't belong here." And so I sat down with Robert to tell him that I think I found a way where I'd be able to help him on his writ, and that's when he informed me that Judge Wilson had made findings of facts and conclusions of law, sent him up to the Court of Criminal Appeals, and they had ordered his release.
In reading this file, the writ that was filed back in 1973, where his judgment was reduced to time served, had a stack of letters from people in Louisiana that had met Robert. Talked about what a fine person he was, how hard he worked, and wasn't just from prison officials, but there were a lot of letters from guards and higher-ups within the Louisiana prison system.
I was there for a man's life. He was 75 years old. He was not in great health. His family had waited 40-something years for this date, and he had done his time. It was time to let go. His service in the Navy and in the Army and what he had gone through in his life. So personally, it affected me significantly, and that's what led me to want to help Robert, and that's what led me to continue in my quest not only to try to help him with his problems in Texas, which fortunately Judge Wilson had already made great strides on and had really resolved. The need arose later for help from a Georgia conviction from which Robert once again had just walked away. And so we found ourselves in that position months later after all of this was over.
Beneficial thing that I have, or the positive thing that I did, it was in the Louisiana State Penitentiary. I was instrumental in to set up a law library. Got a lot of people out of prison. In Mississippi, I set up a GED program and a corresponding college courses where the inmates in Mississippi rose above 74% complete illiteracy out of the whole population. LEAP, Learn, Earn, and Prosper. And the state got a $15 million grant for that program. The main thing that I'm proud of, really, is under the 1893 Constitution of the state of Mississippi, convict and vote. The administration, the legislatures, or whoever knew it, but they would never told the convicts. I arranged for inmates to receive ballots.
Until we are free, we won't retreat. We won't surrender. Power to the people has been the agenda.
You know, here was a guy who had been considered a mentor. He had taught in jail. He had worked with all different kinds of people in jail, and here he was getting out at this advanced age, and they were rearresting him on a case that was 45 years old. This old warrant had surfaced based on an escape in the late 1950s. And I was thinking, is this some sort of retaliation for the attention that his case is getting? Somebody just kind of mad because it makes the Texas prison system look bad. I don't know, but it was one of those things you wonder about.
America, Now let me ask you this: how you gonna keep a man in jail for over 40 years for a crime he did not commit? Now they say our generation don't care about stuff like that, but I'm here to tell you that we do. Cause even now, we all still struggling to be free. We won't retreat, we won't surrender. Power to the people has been the agenda. Keep up the struggle continually. Persist and resist until we are free. We won't retreat, we won't surrender. Power to the people has been the agenda. Keep up the struggle continually. Persist and resist until we are free. There's just some things I just don't understand, like baby girl, know the world is cruel, rough around the edge, inside you're still smooth. No just do's, just do what you got to stay afloat, little mama. Won't let him see you cry, throw on your armor. Life's a trip, but you ready for that karma. Health, wealth, so sick of praying for someone's help. So sick of waiting for a diamond in the rough. Grinding is tough, got a second job, but consignment's not enough. Plus, student loans, food, home. Did it by yourself, cause you've been on your own. All alone, innocence lost is so imminent. When you can't get up and you feel impotent, use your inner strength to fuel your intent. Baby boy, be a leader, not a follower. The choices you make, they will follow you. Easy come, easy go, the easy roll, the easy dough is betrothed, but Popo was at the end, a dead end, or the state pen. Choose neither, you can either be a doctor, lawyer, or a teacher. The fast life, exactly that. It could be gone just like that, and you can't get it back, cause once it's gone, young man, that's a wrap. One chance, that's a fact. The glitz and glamour over there, that's a trap. Prove you know how to act. Harder for you because the skin is black.
Home ownership is the backbone for many families in our communities, as well as this nation.
It started out as one of our normal quote-unquote homeowner projects, and we were out visiting the home. We bring our teams out in the spring to meet the homeowners and to look at the house to make sure that it's a house that they have the capabilities to repair.
Our mission basically is to make sure that our homeowners are able to stay in their homes safe and comfortably, since we work with seniors, so that they can remain in their homes throughout their lifetime or for as long as they possibly can.
We don't have any glory to gain other than we're doing it for the homeowners.
This really made a huge difference in the home that Mr. Coney had lived in before he went to prison, and now that he's home, he has a place to come and he can come back.
On my wedding day, that circle was finally being completed, whereat I was not a fugitive anymore, didn't have to spend time away from the people that I love, away from the woman that I love. I felt good.
Well, we had always wanted to get married, but we never had the opportunity because we was always moving.
How'd you feel that day?
When I got married?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I felt happy.
You felt happy?
Yeah. Yeah, I felt happy.
What did you think was going to happen once you got married?
Well, live happy ever after. Yeah.
You believed that?
Yeah.
Has it been tough?
Very tough.
I'll tell you very frankly, if I'd gone to jail for 40 years or 45 or whatever, 43, for something that I didn't do,
right,
I'd be a very bitter person.
I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter. Because anger is like a cancer. Anger is detrimental to anything that is positive because you act out of reasons. That's the best way that I can put it.
For him to have the kind of attitude he's got, after all that adversity and all that turmoil that caused in his life, to feel the way he feels about his country, and he says something to me all the time that you've almost got to be a veteran to understand this. He'll say, only in America.
Right.
And I've never been around him, but he didn't say that at least one time.
Only in America?
Only in America.
My mother was a very strong lady. Every time I would think of her, I would think of what she went through to make it possible for me to take advantage of the opportunities that was present for me. And later on, better opportunities for the next generations. So out of that strength came the generation that she would be proud of.
Like we standing in the rain, getting rich with no umbrella, but we still having hope that it's gonna get better. But the sun's gonna shine, flowers grow on vines. We the growth that grew from the concrete. Well, aren't we 9/11 survivors? Hope held up inside us. Some try to divide us. Hope it will unite us. When we feel neglected, prayers are heavenly projected. It can only be expected that we heavenly protected.
Born to be a man, struggling to say I can. I'm wondering how to survive. Yes, I am. Hoping to stay alive.